Everybody, I'm here with my buddy Ollie, and we're going to talk about the war today. I'm still suffering a little bit from this cold, but I want to keep up the streak of commenting on this war every day if I can. We're in day 4, so this is a SitRep situation report on it, and there's Ollie, and we want to start with. There we go. I want to start with this in the Washington Post today. There's a op-ed by Mark A. Thiessen. And this is Behind the News with John Seiler. Behind the News, get it? Uh, please like and subscribe and check my Substack, johnseiler.substack.com. I have a special one today that I wrote last night on the finances of the war, how this could cause really big problems economically for you and your family and the country. And people don't think about that sometimes, but check that out. And today I've mostly been working on Orange County stuff because I still write for the Orange County Register, and I still love Orange County. I love writing about it. So again, excuse me if I'm a little slow today. This is by Mark A. Thiessen. The Trump doctrine is here. It ends forever wars. Like Reagan, the president has found a way to change the world without putting boots on the ground. That may be really true, but it may change the world in ways he doesn't like. This guy, Mark Thiessen, he was chief speechwriter for George W. Bush during the Iraq War. Remember that? Weapons of mass destruction. If we don't fight them over there, they'll come over here and kill us all with nuclear weapons or whatever. Same thing they're saying now. But he goes through all this thing about the reasons for the war, which everybody has reasons, right? And Iran war, call it, doing all these things, blah blah blah. They're getting nuclear weapons. They're gonna kill us all. But here's the key right here. Uh, uh, At this moment, the U.S. is striking Iran from the air, eliminating the regime's leadership, retaliatory capabilities, its nuclear program, and its infrastructure of repression. How does he know that? This war is 4 days old. Still the fog of war. Did he get this? Regime has been planning for this for 23 years. Since, remember, 2003, he might have written, no, he didn't write it. It was remember Bush said the Axis of Evil, Iran, Iraq, and North Korea. It was written by a guy named David Frum, a Canadian neocon, not even an American. He writes for The Atlantic now for Steve Jobs' widow. She's the one that finances The Atlantic magazine. Um, but they're talking about here eliminating the regime's leadership. They've been preparing for this for 23 years. They have all kinds of layers of people to replace them. They killed like 43 guys. Trump keeps bragging about it. The Ayatollah Khamenei and these other guys, and also their families. They were there with them. But excuse me. But they planned it, so they have they have a structure of doing it. And there's a guy you should watch on YouTube named Brian Berletic. He's a really good expert on weapons, especially, but also on global wars and militaries. And he says that Iran is in recent years have erected what he called the mosaic of their structure of command in their military and their whole government. A mosaic, little pieces of things all over the place. If you know what a mosaic is, of course. And so each one has like its local control. So you take out the center, these local ones are still going to go, and then they'll kind of cohere again. That's the word I keep using, cohering. As long as the regime coheres, then it wins and we lose. Or rather, the U.S. government loses, Trump loses, Thiessen loses. So that's what he says. And he's talking, expect this campaign to last for weeks, not days. This is Guy Thiessen. How does he know? How does he know? I'll tell you when it's going to last for weeks. If we ran out of ammo, which we're doing, if we went out of Rambo, that'll happen too. But mainly if we run out of ammo. And then he says, this is decent. After that, what happens will be up to the Iranian people, as if it isn't anyway. I mean, can you name a time when just air power just changed the regime. Supposedly, the only one people come up with is Libya, which Obama bombed in 2011. He said he later regretted it. All it did was shatter the government, and we actually had some people on the ground, if you remember, some CIA people, and also they had been fomenting these factions of Gaddafi's government. But other than that, you can't name one. We bombed the Nazis into perdition, but they were still there. We had to send in the troops to take them out. One was my father, Captain John C. Seiler Sr. And same thing with Japan. Japan, excuse me. We had to nuke them before Hirohito said, "Okay, we give up," and he told his people surrender. If Hirohito had said, "Fight them on the beaches to the last man," we would have lost 1 million people. One of the occupiers was my Uncle Walter, another captain in the U.S. Army. You remember going into Tokyo with his 45s right after the surrender, and it was totally quiet. And then after a couple of days, though, they started getting along with the people. People were glad the war was over. Tokyo was largely burned down from the firebombing, which occurred before the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. A typical George W. Bush hack, writer, propagandist, liar. And he says, he quotes Trump from, remember his speech Saturday that Trump gave early in the morning, which you probably didn't see. So Trump says, "To the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take." Well, it's theirs to take anyway. It's their government. You're not going to put boots on the ground and go in and dig them out. That's not going to work. Another example is look at Saddam Hussein. We bombed him for like 6 months, and from 1990 to 1991, and that didn't work. So we sent in the troops. They didn't go to Baghdad in that case, fortunately. And then, of course, in the Iraq War that this guy, Thiessen, propagandized for 2003, we again bombed Saddam for many weeks and then sent in the troops, and that's how we got him out. And he went into he went to exile, and we got him in, remember, his hidey hole, got him out, and there was a kangaroo court of some Iraqi people, and then they hanged him. And at the when he was hanged, he said something like Allah Akbar. He was ready to go see Allah. And but I think he was probably thinking, hey, who's going to pay for this is Bush. And Bush is considered one of the worst presidents in history. And this guy wrote his speeches. Okay, so where are we now here? Okay, I'm hanging in there. Let's go with it. In other words, this is decent. In other words, there's no need for a U.S. invasion force. Of course not. There's no troops available to do it. We don't have enough troops. It would take a year to get them together to draft the troops. Think your kids are going to go for that if you're a young person, or your grandkids or your great grandkids? They're not going to go and get drafted. They're not going in this war. And he says the Iranian people are the boots on the ground. Yeah, they're the boots supporting the government. It's already there. And the fate of the country is in their hands. Well, that's true. Okay. And if things did not turn out as we hope, oh yeah, and a government emerges that resumes its hostile posture toward America and its pursuit of nuclear weapons, Trump can eliminate it as well. How? When we run out of ammo, we just gonna have another war, and look what those people are doing. I have one on that in a minute here. We'll talk about that. And here we go. This is the conclusion by Thiessen. This much is certain: Donald Trump is making history. That's true. That's true. This is. I wrote a Substack piece last week about how this war is going to be very determinative of a lot of things, but not in the way they think. There have been just 45 presidents since the founding of the Republic. Of those, only a handful truly transformed the world. In the modern era, Franklin D. Roosevelt defeated Nazi fascism, and Ronald Reagan defeated Soviet communism. If Trump succeeds in defeating Islamic radicalism in Iran, Trump will take his place alongside them as one of the most consequential presidents in U.S. history, just by bombing them. But bombing them didn't work. Another example of Vietnam. I grew up with that war. I was 10 years old when LBJ escalated the war in 1965, put 150,000 troops in because the advisors weren't doing the trick. Eventually, there was 550,000 in 1968. LBJ quit. Ho Chi Minh won. Eventually, it dragged on for a few more years. But this, like Vietnam and these other wars, was a war of attrition. America nowadays can't fight wars of attrition. We fight these lightning wars. Uh, Trump likes to say in, boom, out, like the Maduro thing and killing Soleimani in 2000, 6 years ago over in, he was the diplomat in general, and they say terrorist, but you're not supposed to kill diplomats. Trash truck going by, and you're not supposed to kill diplomats even though they're terrorists. When Molotov came over to visit President Roosevelt, did they kill him? This is the henchman of Stalin, responsible for killing millions of people. No, they didn't do that. Come on. Okay, so it's interesting. He compares them to all these guys. Yeah, remember how many wars Reagan got in? He got in two. There was the killing of the troops in Lebanon, which they're the Marines, which they're now blaming on Iran for again. Even though it's 43 years ago. Trump. Excuse me, Ronald Reagan, wherever you are. I confused you with Trump. Reagan lobbed some shells into Lebanon, and then left, and then the second, almost simultaneously, invaded Grenada, a really small country, to rescue um, some American medical students, and also liberate the country from the Cubans who were propping up a dictator there. And at the time, they said he was taking a piece off the chessboard of the Cold War. It just, but that was it for Reagan. He didn't. Oh no, he bombed Gaddafi once, um, uh, and that was it though. No big wars like this. It's going to last weeks, months, maybe a year, 2 years. We'll see. And okay, next we have David French, who's a conservative constitutional lawyer, and sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. It's okay. He writes in the New York Times. This is Behind the News with John Seiler. Okay, so he goes through this whole discussion about whether it's constitutional, and I have my Constitution. I always carry this around in my pocket. Here's what it says. There's George. Okay, let me get it here. All right, this is Article 1, Section 8, U.S. Constitution. The Congress shall have the power to declare war. And I'm not going to debate it now. I'm just going to bring it up because there's this debate. Can this president do this on his own like this or not? And nowadays I just say the president, I mean, they've had so many wars, they just do it on their own. So it's a moot question. The Constitution, here's what the Constitution means nowadays. That's it. But Trump, Trump's on my mind today, you know that. Okay. That's what he wants, though. He wants us all to be talking about him all the time, and we do. 10 years. Okay, so this is what he says right here. This is the point that French makes. Now, many millions of Americans are bewildered by events. There is no national consensus around the decision to deploy Americans into harm's way. There isn't even a Republican consensus. There's only a personal consensus, the personal consensus of a mercurial man so detached from reality. He actually posted on Truth Social an article with the headline, quote, Iran tried to interfere in the 2024 elections to stop Trump and now faces renewed war with the U.S. Are Trump's conspiracy theories making him more amenable to war? And he also points out elsewhere in the article, when Bush went to war in 2023, he got a authorizations of a military force from Congress. Congress said, okay. And French makes the point here that got the American people on the side of the war because their representatives in Congress that they voted for, a majority of them said, let's go to war. So the troops are out there. They're thinking, okay, my Congress back home representing me, they said go to war. And my president's just executing those orders. And I said the Constitution doesn't matter anymore. It's over there somewhere. But the French makes the point that at least if you get the approval of Congress, not a declaration of war, but authorization of military force, then at least you have them on board. And the troops can say, okay, all in the Constitution, sort of. And we have some other articles here. I don't want to stress you too long today or stress myself. Um, Here we go. This is the Financial Times today. I like this paper. Uh, you have to, of course, read between the lines, but that's okay. And they're talking here. This is important because what it looks like what Iran is doing primarily is they're attacking Israel, but and American bases, but primarily they're attacking the economic infrastructure of the whole world in the Middle East. That's why gas is going up, oil is going up, and and apparently natural gas is going up too. It doubled in Europe, I think. So there's a good chance we'll have a recession from this if that's what happens. Okay, this is what it says here. Iranian attacks on energy sites in the Middle East have triggered the biggest rise in natural gas prices since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2002, raising the threat of a new energy crisis if the conflict drags on. Qatar Energy, the world's largest liquefied natural gas company, was targeted with Iranian drone attacks, forcing it to shut down its production, triggering a surge in gas prices as much as 50% in European and Asian markets. Saudi Arabia also halted production at a large oil refinery. The conflict, this is quoting a guy named Sal Kavanek, analyst of MST Financial. He says, quote, the global gas markets could face a crisis well beyond the scale of oil markets. Well, there you go. The next, Dubai, this is from Dubai. Half of Dubai is booking expats drive 10 hours to Saudi Arabia for flights out. They can't fly out of their own country because Iran shut the airspace. And there's another article somewhere about how, you might remember about a year ago, Trump was over there for a conference in the Middle East and made all these deals, billions and billions of dollars, billions and billions and billions, as Carl Sagan used to say. It was to finance these data centers in the Middle East and in America for AI. A lot of money invested there, but now those places are being attacked. So their finances are messed up, and if they hit the data centers, well, there's those billions and billions and billions are gone. So let's see what else we have here. There's a lot in this one today. Iran adopts a strategy of attrition in an effort to stretch enemies' air defenses. So this is the question of the war, as I mentioned earlier. Does Iran cohere long enough? Does their structure of government, wherever they've done it, does it stick together long enough? Can they hold out before the Americans and the Israelis run out of ammo? And some say it's 7 days, 2 weeks. Trump's talking about a month. We'll find out. So let's see what else we have here. Some good stuff. Trump reverses course on vow to avoid foreign entanglements. Yeah, that's what it is. Trump rebranded, quote, the Department of War, unquote. It takes high-risk actions across the globe. Well, let's see how that's going to work out. This country has limited resources. Let's wait till oil prices go up, and then we have the election, and gas prices go up. We have the election in November, and the Democrats win the House by big margins, and they take over the Senate, and then they're starting to impeach him on this and other things. Okay, another one here. Iran war threatens crude oil price shock. Even as Donald Trump started a trade war, that's his tariff war, and I've written about tariffs before. I think if they're limited, like say 5%, and then you cut income taxes a lot and regulations a lot, then that's tolerable because you're increasing one tax but cutting down another tax. But Trump, he did it 15%, 100%, and he's all erratic. It's not predictable. He started doing that last year. It makes no sense. But anyway, in addition to this, now we have this, even as Donald Trump started a trade war, attacked U.S. institutions, including the Federal Reserve, and threatened to take allies to take over Greenland, global growth proved resilient. Inflation has continued to subside, and so on. But now, the world markets have been shattered. Okay, and here's another one. France makes nuclear arms offer to Europe. This is for all this chaos in the world. The French have this, de Gaulle in the 60s developed their nuclear weapons program. They call it the War SitRep. Sounds like a souffle. But anyway, they have it, and they're going to make it bigger, and they're going to say they're going to protect Europe with it against Russia, of course. But Russia doesn't care about Europe. They just want, they just don't want missiles in Ukraine that can hit them. Like Ukraine is already shooting missiles deep into Russia. A couple of days ago, they shot one 800 miles, and it's not really Ukraine. Supposedly the missile was made there, but the parts from Europe, and the guidance system was America. Oh, and by the way, the guidance system, excuse me, the guidance system Iran used to have was our system. Um, the GPS, but they have a new one that they got from China called Baidu, I think like it is. I'm using the Beijing accent instead of the Shanghai accent. Anyway, the Baidu system, so they're independent. Before America could shut it down, then they couldn't use satellites for the military. Now they're using the China one. Okay, what else do we have? Maybe that's it for today. Let's see. Okay, so uh, that's it for today. So this war is going on. We'll see how far it goes, what goes on, and then maybe I'll be a little better tomorrow. But I want to do this every day, no matter how I feel. So to keep you guys up to date on what I see, what's going on. This is going to be a crazy long war. It's going to be unpredictable, totally unpredictable. We're just starting. It's the fog of war and the mass death of war. I saw Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, which they're calling it now. He was saying, he talked about war is hell, which is quoting General Sherman, William Tecumseh Sherman, uh, about the Civil War. The latest show, the Civil War in America killed 150,000 Americans, which would be like 10 million today. Imagine 10 million dying. So is that what he's talking about? 10 million Americans dying in the Middle East? Who knows? That's too much, but is it too much? Who knows? The nuclear war, we have 10 million killed here. So on that happy thought, I hope everybody has a great day. And Ollie is inside. But, I have his treats here. These are Ollie treats. I'll leave a link to it. These are really great treats. You can get them on Amazon. And they're named after Ollie. No, it's just a coincidence. So remember to like and subscribe, pass this around, and go to my Substack, johnseiler.substack.com, and we'll talk tomorrow.